Welcome back to another Reddit reaction, boys and girls. Today we are going to be going over r/Star Wars Battlefront with the recent news of the Classic Collection. I thought it would be fun to kind of go and look at the Reddit and see what everyone's saying about the game. Generally, I do try to avoid Reddit for the sake of avoiding the toxicity that happens over on Reddit, but I'm expecting a lot of people to just be really happy, and I'm kind of curious to see how everyone reacts to it, as well as I'm sure there'll be plenty of good memes and stuff like that. So we're going to set this to the top posts of this week just to make sure that we're getting mostly the new Battlefront stuff, and without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. The first one, the hottest thing of this whole week is literally just talking about the remaster. It's got 3,500 upvotes, so obviously a lot of people are very happy, and literally all this post says is they're remastering the OG Battlefront games. It was just announced. That's literally all it is, and it is the top upvoted post in the entire subreddit. So I think a lot of people are very, very happy about this. Most of the comments from what I can see are just people like saying how excited they are to have multiplayer and stuff like that. People are actually shocked, as you can see here, shocked that they actually have online support, which is definitely the true element for me, in that when I first saw they were remastering it, I just saw the announcement and went like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I went, hang on, it's got online support, what the hell? I did not expect that to happen. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat there, and obviously this is just a very happy post that we are finally getting another Battlefront game, albeit one that we've mostly all played 20 odd years ago. Now, this is essentially me, but this was not once I got the Classic Collection. I haven't really played, the current Battlefront 2 since support was cancelled. I know I've done a few videos late last year and kind of early this year, just going over, some challenges and stuff like that, but I haven't really committed to Battlefront 2 in a long time now. So I think that's part of why I'm so keen, because I've not had a Battlefront experience in really like a few years now. That game got cancelled in 2020 and it's now 2024. It's been nearly 4 years since I've actually been like regularly playing Battlefront. And so even though it is the old ones, this is very much me. I'm so keen to get my hands on the Classic Collection and sink so many hours into it. So that is definitely a very relatable meme right there. Now we've got one here kind of sticking up for the Classic Collection. I guess there was probably some negativity. It says, getting sick and tired of people complaining about the upcoming Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. I want it and I don't care what you think. And if we take a look at the meme, this game is nothing but a cash grab, right? You can already play the original games on Xbox and Steam. It's not even worth the price, even with the working online service and additional content. Quit having fun. I haven't seen any of that personally myself, but again, I don't check Reddit all that often. I'm sure the Reddit probably had enough people having a sook about it, because that is mostly what Reddit is at this point. But I do agree that, yeah, who cares, man, if people are complaining, oh, I've already got the original. You just go play the original and I'll be playing the new one because it's new, it's got online support. I just don't really care about people having a sook about it, to be honest. If you don't want to play it, it is as simple as that's okay, and just shut your mouth at this point. Now this one is very interesting. Why is this 56 gig? Which is true. The originals, I'm actually just currently re-downloading Battlefront 2004 on the Xbox. I've already got Battlefront 2, but I didn't have 2004 installed, and it is 3 gigabytes. And even if you double that for both games, it should not be 56 gig. So this one is a little bit confusing. I'm curious to know what that's about. I'd imagine because it does confirm on the Xbox store it is going to be 4K textures. It's also running at 60 frames a second. So I dare say it's going to look a little bit better. And we've even seen that in the trailer. It definitely looks better. It still looks like a very old game, but it definitely looks better than the originals. So I guess it's just to do with the textures and stuff like that. But even still, 56 gig is pretty damn big. And this is a good point. EA Battlefront was only about this much at launch. So that's pretty insane to think about. Now, there is a lot of content in the game. There is like 40 something maps and there's just a lot to do. So yeah, part of it makes sense. Part of it is still just like, I would have expected this to be like 10 to 15 gig or something like that. I hope it's not because it's poorly optimized. That would be an absolute bummer if the game launches and it's just like, really bad, buggy and all that kind of thing. But I don't imagine it will be, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But it is definitely, it made me very curious seeing this coming in at nearly 57 gigabytes. We are so back. You can see here, nearly 300k views it had in 3 hours. That is absolutely insane. I believe it's sitting at over 1 million views now. Yeah, as you can see here, it is 1.3 million views, so it's done pretty damn well. I think a lot of people are very interested in it. It's going to be interesting to see how well it sells and stuff like that, and I've got a video coming up talking about what that could mean for Battlefront, because if this sells super well and sells like millions of copies, then they would be pretty dumb to not look at that and go, damn, like people love Battlefront, why don't we make Battlefront 3? I still don't necessarily think it will happen. I just think DICE isn't really in the situation to be able to do that, but it could also, they could hand it on to a different company or something. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's going to be fun. I really hope the game does super well. I would love this to just sell like something absurd, like 10 million copies or something, because that would almost force Lucasfilm's hand into like, okay, damn, we need to make a Battlefront 3. I think that's what most of us want at this point. So let's just hope it does well, but it's all looking very good so far that so many people seem to be very interested, and that's just in the online space. I'm sure once it actually goes live and everything, it'll actually sell pretty damn well. Now this one is very interesting. I've seen this, I haven't actually seen the Reddit post itself, but I've seen a lot of talk about this. The title is Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection Xbox DLC appears to be a stolen mod and not the original DLC. So that's a big accusation there. I'm not gonna, I'll probably link this if you guys want to read the whole thing, because it's just, it takes a long time to read all that. But essentially people are trying to link the fact, and this is kind of the most important part here. Ventress normally has 2 lightsabers connected by a fiber cord that she holds in one hand. That's how it was in the original. It almost looked like nunchucks in a way, where it was like actually connected. And so that is kind of telling, where it says, however, this isn't what was shown in the trailer. In the trailer for about a second, you can see her holding 2 lightsabers in each hand. I'd imagine that means 1 lightsaber in each hand, but anyway, which matches the mod found here. So yeah, there's a lot of people kind of putting their tinfoil hats on there, and I don't think that they would do that, because that's not how game dev works. You don't just take a mod and put that in a game. That's not really how it works at all. But it is definitely interesting to think about. A lot of people in the comments are talking a lot of sense, where it could have just been an early build and stuff like that, where they've shown that in the trailer. So I'm not looking into it too much. I don't think it's that, you know, there's not that much substance to this. But if you guys want to read the whole thing and check it out for yourself, I'll leave the link. If I can remember, I'll leave the link in the description. If not, obviously just head to the subreddit and you'll no doubt find that, because it is pretty high up on the list of posts. When you've been practicing 20 years to play multiplayer again, just like the simulations, there is a lot of just like the simulations memes that will no doubt be happening in the next few weeks before launch. Anyone who's been playing this game regularly, they are going to slap everyone when the game launches, because I'm a pretty decent shooter player, but I haven't played Battlefront in a long time in terms of the old ones. And man, I feel like I'm going to get absolutely dominated when I first play this game, because there's going to be a lot of people who have been playing a long time. So it is going to be pretty fun to see. Now, speaking of just like the simulations, this is just a little plug for my Patreon and some merch coming up, but I'm actually going to be releasing a just like the simulations merch drop, kind of taking this clone trooper and yeah, turning it into a bit of a meme. And not only that, but I'll also be doing a giveaway for that merch once it goes live. And all you have to do to enter the giveaway is join the Patreon, which there is a free tier. I know that sounds like I'm asking you guys to pay. There is a free tier to the Patreon. So if you're interested in potentially winning a free t-shirt with a classic Battlefront meme on it, be sure to head to the link in the description for the Patreon. Like I said, completely free. There's no catch to it. You do get some cool bonuses and stuff like that as well over on the Patreon. So be sure to go and check that out. Now, this one's pretty interesting. It says, what's up with the new wave of hate for the OG Battlefront titles? I haven't personally seen any, but again, I don't go on Reddit, and I'm sure Reddit has plenty of people having a sook about it. He says in this post, it seems like there is a pretty vocal crowd trying to rain on everyone's parade with the Classic Collection release, angry that it may take away from Battlefront 2017 server numbers, claiming the games are overrated or that it's overpriced. I get it if you were younger and you wouldn't understand the cultural impact that the OG games had on millions of people. They are masterpieces for their time and were probably 2 of the most culturally impactful games for an entire generation of youth. OG Battlefront 2 consistently went head-to-head in online player count numbers with Halo 2 on the OG Xbox, just for reference. I understand that Battlefront 2017 means a lot to people on this subreddit, but let's not make that game out to be something it isn't either. OG Battlefront 2 set the gold standard for what Star Wars games should be, and these remasters with online support are an amazing thing to preserve these golden titles. Now, my take on this is, I can see both sides of it, and that probably sounds like I'm just sitting on the fence. I completely agree, and I didn't really play online that much, in fact, really at all in the original Battlefront games, but I played them a hell of a lot. They were probably some of my most played games of all time up until like the last 5 or 10 years. And I completely agree with what this says, that they were masterpieces for their time, and they were very culturally impactful in terms of just multiplayer games in general. A lot of games took what those games did well and sort of used that, and that, you know, helped form multiplayer gaming in general. So I completely agree with that front. On the other side of it too, though, I think we can all agree Battlefront 2017 and 2015, they are objectively better games in terms of being higher quality and stuff like that, even with all the issues they had. And I don't necessarily think anyone is in the wrong here, because both, they came out in very different times, and it is almost impossible to compare. Both of them do have elements they just do so much better than the other ones. And I think kind of anyone who's arguing at the other side, they are kind of right, while the other side is kind of right, if that makes sense. So I think the whole argument is kind of dumb. I think both games are just really solid. I think the original Battlefront games were genuine, like close to 10 out of 10s for that time, whereas I do think Battlefront 2017 was probably like an 8 out of 10. And I really, like, you guys know that I love that game so much, but I don't think it was a 10 out of 10 or anything. So I would definitely lean with the original Battlefront games, but that doesn't mean that they were objectively better, because they just simply aren't. They are so old at this point, and even with the Classic Collection, they're just not going to be anything, you know, some groundbreaking game or anything like that. So I think the whole argument is kind of dumb, personally, comparing games that are 13 years apart. But it is, I guess, an interesting topic to read, and I can see why people get heated, because these games do mean a lot to a lot of people. Lastly, we've got a very solid meme. I love the trade-off meme. It's one of my favorite formats. He says here, this is Lucasfilm and Aspire Games. I received $35. You receive nostalgia from the early 2000s in the form of the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. It is so true. That is what we are buying. The games themselves, they're not going to be mind-blowing. They're not going to be anything crazy. Objectively speaking, in this day and age, they're probably going to be bad games, if that makes sense. But I think the nostalgia just overrides that completely. And just the fact we have a freaking Star Wars game to play that is multiplayer, finally, that is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait, boys. I'm so keen. There's going to be so much content on the channel in the next few weeks, and obviously once the game's here as well, there's so much to cover. Even though it is an older game, I will still be doing a lot of guides and all that kind of thing, so expect to see plenty of content on the Battlefront collection or the Classic Collection. And if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.